hospital bed. He can't believe he's still alive. His legs are intact and the stab wound in his chest is gone. Could it all have been just a dream? Suddenly, two people enter the room. They are the head of the Hunter Association's monitoring department. Protagonist is surprised to learn that he has been in a coma for 3 days. After the recent dungeon raid, Chief Song Chi-yun lost an arm and had to retire from being a hunter. Joo-hee is being treated after suffering a significant mental shock and will likely also quit being a hunter. Only 6 people survived after discovering this double dungeon. Upon receiving the report, a guild with an S-rank hunter, the White Tiger Guild, arrived at the scene. However, they only found Sung Jin-Woo lying unconscious. There was no trace of the temple or the statues. This was hard to believe for them, and the head of the Hunter Association's monitoring department speculated that Sung Jin-Woo had undergone a second awakening. A hunter's ability value is determined upon their awakening and does not change for life, but there are rare cases where hunters reawaken, surpassing their limits to rise to A or S rank. The protagonist immediately places his hand on the magic power measuring device, anxiously waiting. However, hope was just hope. His current stats were even lower than the average E rank. He was no different from an ordinary person. The reason why the weakest hunter survived and the double dungeon disappeared without a trace remains a big question. Strangely, only Sung Jin-Woo could see the system panel right in front of him. At this moment, memories of just before he died suddenly flood back. It had asked him something about qualifying to become a player. Gina came to scold her brother, telling him to value himself more because he made her worry to death. She even threatened that if he ended up like this again, she would quit school and work so he wouldn't need to be a hunter anymore. Jin-Woo asked his sister if she could see his system panel, but Gina didn't understand and thought he was acting crazy, then left. It turns out that this system panel wasn't touch responsive but voice activated. When he said open mailbox, a notification appeared stating that he had become a player. The system would support the player's development. Failing to follow instructions would result in a penalty. Sung Jin-Woo decided to check the daily quest, which involved strength training. A panel appeared with tasks including push-ups, sit-ups, running, and other exercises. The countdown timer was still running, but he ignored it because he felt too sick to train. The head of the Hunter Association's monitoring department was reporting to Chairman Go about Sung Jin-Woo not having undergone a reawakening. This incident was too mysterious and completely different from any case that had occurred before. Chairman Go decided to treat this as a special case requiring further investigation. Meanwhile, at the base of the Hunter Guild, one of the 5 largest hunter guilds in South Korea, the guild master assigned Vice Master Cha Hae-in to guide an upcoming B-rank raid. She needed to train the new recruits and provide field training. Cha Hae-in lacked confidence in her ability to instruct, but the guild master believed that with her abilities, she could certainly do it. That evening, during the citizens' daily activities, a gate suddenly appeared in the middle of the road, obstructing traffic. The people could only wait for the hunters to arrive and clear it. By midnight, Sung Jin-Woo's daily quest time limit had expired, and the punishment was immediately enforced. Suddenly, a violent earthquake struck, knocking him to the ground. When he opened his eyes, Sung Jin-Woo found himself in a vast desert. Behind him was a giant, grotesque desert venomous centipede. The task of this punishment was to survive for 4 hours. 2 nurses entered his hospital room but couldn't find Jin-Woo anywhere. No matter how much they searched the hospital, he was nowhere to be found because he was frantically running in the endless desert. It turned out there wasn't just one centipede, but a whole swarm hunting him. He had been running for 2 hours, drenched in sweat, and his chest was heaving heavily. With only 10 seconds left to complete the punishment, the centipede leaped and caught up with him. At the brink of life and death, the countdown reached 0. Instantly, Sung Jin-Woo was back in his hospital room, lying on the floor and gasping for breath. The next day, he had completely recovered and was able to be discharged. Hearing that Jin-Woo had recovered, Joo-hee happily brought a basket of flowers to the hospital to visit, only to overhear the nurses whispering that since waking up, he had been running every day, no matter how much they tried to stop him, despite his previous severe injuries. Truly a stubborn patient. Saddened by this, she left quietly, feeling perhaps he was different from her, a person who was severely mentally broken and wavering about continuing as a hunter. 4 days had passed since he woke up, and every time he completed a daily quest, Jin-Woo would receive 3 rewards. The first reward was full recovery, which made all his fatigue disappear instantly. The second reward was attribute points that he could allocate as he wished. He chose to increase his muscle strength. However, talking to himself in the middle of the hospital courtyard made people give him strange looks. The final reward was a random box. For the past few days, the rewards had been trivial items like pens or band-aids, but today, he received a key. This key was a teleportation key to a dungeon instance that could be used at exit gate number 3 of the station. The TV was broadcasting news about the gates today, just like a weather forecast. Several new D and C rank gates had appeared, including a B rank gate at the seaport that the Hunter Guild was planning to raid. Jin-Woo remembered how, 4 years ago, his mother suddenly fell ill and never woke up again. She was diagnosed with a condition called eternal sleep, a disease that was discovered after the appearance of the gates, with an occurrence rate of about 1 in several tens of thousands. Modern medicine still has no cure and can only maintain the patient's life. Back then, Jin-Woo was working as a construction laborer for a terrible boss when he suddenly started exhibiting strange symptoms. It turned out he had awakened as a hunter. He was overjoyed and rushed home to tell his sister that he would be able to earn enough money to pay for their mother's medical bills, no matter how dangerous the job was. However, on his very first raid, he encountered a difficult team that kicked him out, calling him useless and refusing to share any rewards with him. Reflecting on those events made Jin-Woo train his body even harder. Soon after, Jin-Woo arrived at the station where the teleportation key to the dungeon instance could be used. He reassured himself that if he encountered danger, he would just run like he did when being chased by the centipede. He raised the key, and suddenly a lock appeared in front of him. Jin-Woo inserted the key and officially entered the dungeon. Unfortunately, as soon as he stepped inside, the door locked behind him, making it impossible to exit. This was a different dimension, as people continued to go about their daily lives at the station. This meant he had to defeat the boss to escape. Being an E-rank hunter without a team, he wondered if he could handle it. The gloomy and ancient atmosphere made him extremely tense. Suddenly, 3 goblins appeared in front of him. Previously, he had almost died facing just 1 goblin, and now there were 3. Jin-Woo tried to dodge and defend himself, but after just a few moves, he began to fall into a defensive position. He was eventually knocked to the ground. Desperately, he lunged and stabbed 1 goblin through the stomach, successfully killing it. He quickly dealt with the other 2. Just as he was feeling proud of his increased strength, a red-furred wolf appeared unexpectedly. Its speed was incredible. In an instant, it had shattered his weapon. This was a steel-fanged wolf. Facing this powerful enemy, Jin-Woo's legs trembled, paralyzed by fear. The trauma from the previous dungeon encounter was still overwhelming. The wolf swiftly scratched his face. Determined not to get injured since he had no healer with him, he vowed not to let himself be harmed again. The wolf charged at him, aiming directly at him, but before it could reach him, the